Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Monday. We're gonna do some things tonight. That was Freestyle at Where to Riot Rampage. What file was that? Is that this third file? Yeah, 4 gigabytes. I'm gonna start playing through the top to bottom, beginning to end. I'm gonna play through all the Rampage footage on the intros and outros of these live streams. So, you know, if you want to see all that, all you got to do is watch the beginning and end. You can tune out for the middle nonsense. The middle nonsense tends to be where we have some good fun. We're going to be taking a look at the efficiency results from these two fellas here, the QAV-Pro and the AOS. I did that backwards. The AOS Cine25 and the QAV-Pro. We are going to fart around with a 75mm Tiny Whoop. It's currently on 702s with the Gemfan 1.6-inch bi-blades. We're going to fly a couple of batteries there, and then we're going to swap it over to 0603s, which have slightly more stator volume. I don't know if I'm going to move it all the way up to 802s. I've already flown it a bunch on 802s, and it's nuts. So yeah, I think we're just going to do those 2 motors tonight. Of course, this is a Q&A stream, so any questions that you've got, leave them in chat. If you're going to do that, though, make sure that you type CiottiFPV before your question. By doing that, CiottiFPV is going to light up an orange. You can do this with each other, too. If you type Mick Mucus and you don't put a space in between Mick and Mucus, it'll light up an orange just for him. So yeah, if you've got questions, make sure you tag me. Folks that have been here for a while, if you see a good question, please copy it and paste it and tag me so that we can talk about it. Cool? This is my full-time job. If you would like to support the insanity that is attempting to do FPV as a full-time job, I would very much appreciate it. Head on over to CiottiFPV.com. Patreon here helps me out the most, and you get the most benefits. There's a ton of tech articles, a couple of Facebook groups, a private YouTube playlist with almost 90 unreleased live streams, Patreon-only live streams, random flight footage, half-done edits, sketchy flying that I don't want to be public, all kinds of good stuff. So yeah, for as little as 10 cents a day, which is $3 a month, you can join my Patreon. It makes a huge difference. It is literally the only reason that I can do this full-time and bring you guys these 10-ish hours of live streams a week. So yeah, if you like supporting people that are trying to do something cool, here's a way of doing that for just $3 a month. Etsy, I've got some really fun stickers and some random hardware. Over on Fiverr, you can work one-on-one with me. And then on Teespring, I've got some fun shirts and other stuff. If you want to do a super chat to support me directly, but you don't want YouTube to take 30%, I got a little PayPal button here. And then all these affiliate links are free money for us content creators. If you move your bookmarks over to these affiliate links, every time you go to a bookmark, someone will get a small percentage of your total shopping cart. You can still do coupons. There's no reason, basically, to not do an affiliate link every single time you order something on the internet, unless the website doesn't have an affiliate program. We Bleed FPV, Newbie Drone FPV Cycle, Amazon Get FPV, Oh My God HD0, Flywoo, Emacs, Banggood, Camera Brother, AliExpress. Those are all the websites that I have affiliate links to. Yeah, makes a huge difference. It's free money, and you know, you can also click the thumbs up down here somewhere. And there's other things that you can do. Hold on, I don't have the lights turned on properly down here, of course. Someday there'll be a stream where I remember to do all the things. Bob Bruce was first. B-Man was next. CMYK, FPV, Fun Volt, Mick Mucus, Hockey Rounds, Terry Burnett, Denzel the Terrible, Nani FPV, White Powder RX FPV. That's a good one. Professor Biohazard, Free Lojo, Mac FPV, YouTube just did the thing. Storm Rider, Big Fran, Sunset Park, Justin Waller, Denzel the Terrible, Hypnos, Welsh, Gabby Carter. I'm sure I'm missing people because YouTube did the thing, but welcome, friends. Thanks for coming and hanging out. It's 9 o'clock. Joshua, I didn't realize early enough that Joshua was not streaming tonight. I would have loved to have started at 8 o'clock in his time slot, but yeah, whatever. So yeah, we're gonna go from 9 to 11. Hopefully, not too many people show up at 10. Like, what? One of the cool things about hopping on the Patreon is you're gonna get emails with all of the live streams to let you know ahead of time. Folks that are on the highest tiers on my Patreon, check your Patreon messages. I sent you all a message with something free for you as a thank you for being a super crazy mega supporter. So yeah, check your Patreon messages and get back to me with which of the things that you want, and I will ship them on out to you. Bob Bruce tagged me and said, how's it going? B-Man said, what's good, bro? Thanks for the speedy shipping. You're certainly welcome, my friend. CMYKFPV says, how you doing today, man? I'm all right. McMucus says, thanks for hitting me back. Have a great stream. You're certainly welcome. Denzel the Terrible says, good evening. White Powder. All right. White Powder X says, what's up, yo? Nani says, hello. Professor Biohazard says, I wanted to get my Shendrone squirt and build a QAV-Pro based build, but that frame is expensive. It is an expensive frame. And to be honest, from a Shendrone Squirt to a QAV-Pro, a lot that's going to be a rough swap, because the Shendrone Squirt, you've probably got big boy motors on there that are like 12 by 12 or 16 by 16 motor mount base, which won't work on the QAV-Pro. The Shendrone's is meant to be a big, beefy, full-size GoPro carrying 3-inch rig. The QAV-Pro is meant to be a super lightweight 2.5-inch prop, T-mount only, naked GoPro carrier. So yeah, that would be you almost certainly wouldn't be able to swap motors over. You could probably swap the flight controller and the ESC, although if you've got like a big beefy ESC on the Shendrone Squirt, there's really no reason for that in the QAV-Pro. It's just going to be extra dead weight. So yeah, the QAV-Pro is a full-blown micro build. It's like building a 2.5-inch freestyle rig. The Shendrone Squirt is closer to like a 5-inch build. Big ass motors, big ass battery, big payload, that kind of stuff. So yeah. You'd probably, if you want something that flies better and crashes better than the Shendrone Squirt, you're going to be much better off moving over to a Cinesplore, which is actually a much less expensive frame than the QAV-Pro. And yeah, you're going to have something that's a lot better than the Shendrone Squirt. Nothing against the Squirt. It like started the whole Cinewhoop explosion. But it's old, right? Like, it was the very first Cinewhoop, and a lot of different designs came out after it to really refine that formula. And like, yeah, there's a Squirt V2, but the differences are pretty minimal. The Cinesplore by FPV Cycle is really like the last of the Cinewhoops, the most current of the Cinewhoops. And go figure, it's the best. It has benefited from all of the R&D that we as pilots have done and all of the lessons that have been learned. So yeah, you're gonna get you'll be able to run a couple of, there's like 4 or 5 different styles of ducts that you can run. It's gonna crash better, it's gonna fly better, it's gonna be lighter, much easier to work on and live with. It's if you're frustrated with things about the Squirt, the Cinesplore will probably fix most of those issues for you. So maybe that's your swap. Nani FPV says, I'm watching Renfield while I'm listening to your stream. This movie is freaking hilarious. Renfield? I don't think I know that. Renfield. What the hell is that? Oh god, it's a horror movie. I don't want anything to do with that. Is it like a comedic horror movie? It looks like it might be a comedic horror movie. Cool. So, hey, let's do some stuff. Let's dive into some efficiency testing that I did earlier today on these two guys. So these are the sub 250 gram rigs that I use to chase the cyclists in the America Crit Cup and National Cycling League events, live streams that they bring me on to do. And this is the QAV-Pro, which is definitely my preferred frame between these two, mainly just because it's strong. This is a nice, strong, solid frame. This is the AOS Cine25, which is a very, very, very fragile frame. It's also heavier than this, which is insane. But what's interesting about this frame, and the reason why I haven't just torn it down by now, is that I have a feeling that it might be more efficient than this frame, mainly because of how little there are less obstructions blocking thrust, right? I can rotate all the way around in here. This is a big chunk of the rotation of the propeller, and it's all nice and clear air. Of course, there's the carbon fiber up and below it, which is not great. But in terms of like blowing directly, well, it's a pusher, so it blows thrust nice and clean right through a nice big opening here. But where quads in general pull the air from is also really important. Like aeronautics, like all of the like engineering behind aeronautics says that the top of the blade or the wing is more important than below. But Ryan Harrell and the gang over at GetFPV did a bunch of testing with this QAV-Pro. This frame is very easily reversible. You can just take the camera and flip it upside down, and that's pretty much it. Go into beta flight, tell it that the flight controller is now upside down, and you can very easily fly this thing right side up or upside down, basically meaning you can fly this as a pusher, as it is now, as it's designed to be, or as a puller. Ryan Harrell and the guys found 20% more efficiency from having this thing set up as a pusher, like it is right now, versus as a puller. Which is crazy. Like that's insane. And he says he was really like shocked by that too, because again, like the engineering that's been done in the aeronautics world, all points to you wanting to have a more open area above the propeller, above the blades, above the wings, than below it. What I think is happening there is that in FPV, like the way that we fly is completely different than the entire rest of the world where things are flying through the air, right? Most of aeronautics, you've got your propeller flat like this, and it's just driving along, and there's really no obstructions other than like the fuselage of the airplane behind it if it's a front prop plane, right? You know, in FPV, we have such a weird, unique way of flying through the air, right? Like we've got all this garbage, and then like we're pretty much never flat like this. We're always like tilted forward, and we're tilted forward different amounts. If we want to go fast, we're up like this. If we want to go slow, we're up like this, right? So like it kind of makes sense that our our aerodynamic situation basically is so different than everything else that there'd be these weird things that happen, right? Like I don't think that that's an anomaly that Ryan and Lumineer found. I think they just kind of tapped into something, right? This is why we test, because like, someone else's experience in something else that flies through the air does not necessarily translate to something so weirdly shaped and that moves around weirdly and whatnot. So yeah. So to finish that thought, I have a funny feeling, and the reason why this fragile rig is still put together, I have a funny feeling that this is going to be more efficient because the only blockages to the intake of air are this little arm here. You've got the whole outside region here to pull air in nice and cleanly. This is the AOS Cine25 versus the QAV, which is a much stronger frame, but it's got 3 things blocking the thrust, one of which is all the way out here. This little piece of carbon here, believe it or not, is one of the main reasons that this frame is so much stronger. So it's kind of annoying, if I'm honest. But yeah, that's the situation that we're in. Like just the way that if you hit when you crash, usually you don't come down completely flat. You'll come down at an angle, and you'll put a bunch of energy into this carbon fiber here on the outside, right? And if you've got this piece here, it's going to be nice and strong when it takes impacts and energy in this direction. This AOS Cine frame, when it takes any kind of a hit out here, it just breaks. It just breaks this little thin carbon fiber hoop. These are only 1.5 millimeters thick. I think they're only 1.5 millimeters thick because this frame is really heavy. This is like 12 or 14 grams heavier than this QAV frame. So if this top and bottom hoop plate, or whatever the hell it's called, were 2 millimeters or 2.5 millimeters, there'd be no way to get this thing below 250 grams, which is a deal breaker for a lot of people. So it makes sense why these are so thin, but unfortunately, being so thin and not having that external support here, this area is super, super, super fragile, to the point where I broke my first set of these plates on the very first crash, and then like 2 crashes later in the grass, it broke again, and then I think it broke one more time. I'm not sure, but yeah, just the design of this, and like if you take it from the corners like this and you just kind of flex it, like it's very obvious that like this frame is just super fragile out here. You know, if you don't know what you're talking about, you can just say like, oh well, it's a Cinewhoop, just don't crash. You know, that's a dumb thing to say, so don't say that. Because yeah, if you're like, you're gonna crash. Equipment's gonna fail. You're gonna be tuning. You're gonna be testing. Like, crashing happens. If crashing doesn't happen to you, then you need to fly harder. Like, straight up. That's a problem. Like, not ever crashing is missing a huge, amazing part of this hobby, which is the fact that you can safely crash and it costs practically nothing to fix, and you're completely safe. So yeah, this whole like just don't crash thing, like that's just the dumbest thing ever. Crashing will happen. On cinematic rigs, it will happen less often, for sure, but it will still happen, especially if you're, you know, in my opinion, like doing your job well. Like, as a drone pilot, since you can safely crash in most situations, you should be pushing yourself hard enough to shoot small gaps and to do kind of sketchy stuff to give your client better footage. And if you're not, like, that's on you. You're never gonna get to the point of whatever. Just don't do that. Just don't never crash. It's just stupid. You'll never progress. You'll never get better, and you'll never really understand the how amazing that side of this hobby is. So yeah, don't do that. But if this is significantly less efficient because of the strength of the frame, then maybe I just build a bunch of these to take advantage of the extra efficiency, and then when they break, you know, grab one of the backups and run that. What I will say is that when, not if, but when these outer guards break, typically you can fly this thing home. It's going to be janky, but you should be able to fly it home, because when they break, it just kind of moves a little bit. It's out of all the breakages, it doesn't come anywhere near interfering with the propeller. Could it? Sure, but I doubt it. So not the end of the world. I mean, what I will say is that when this top and bottom plate break, it sucks to fix it. You have to completely disassemble this thing. One of the other things I don't like about this frame is just, like, from a livability standpoint, from like a build it, repair it standpoint, it sucks. It's really weird. It's kind of an awkward setup. There's like a second plate up on top here, and then the arms are kind of, yeah, it sucks to work on this. Whereas this is like amazing. Like, you've got your ESC on the top plate along with your motors, and then you've just got your ESC to flight controller cable that goes from the top to the bottom plate. So to pull this thing apart, it's like 10 screws, you unplug that cable, and it just comes completely apart, your top and bottom, and you just lay them flat on the desk, and it's super easy to work with. It's like really, really, really nice. A lot of thought and effort has gone into this QAV-Pro frame, which is one of the main reasons that it's a little expensive. Like, that's just sort of the way it is, right? Like, you want to buy something that's really well thought out, that's really nice, you're going to pay a little bit extra for it. You're going to pay a little bit of premium for it. So yeah, QAV-Pro is a pretty amazing frame. But if there's too big of a difference in efficiency between these two, I don't know. Chances are, to be honest, I'll just kind of keep this little fleet exactly like this. And if this thing, maybe I fly this first, and then if it breaks, I put this up in the air and I don't have to worry about it breaking. That way I take advantage of the extra efficiency from this. But it kind of depends on the difference, right? If it's a 5% difference versus a 25% difference, you know, that's a whole different ball game. Let me get a little cell checker here, and let's dive into some of these results here. So, my little test spot. Well, let me pull the memory card from the goggles, and I'll just kind of show you the testing location. I think I need to be a little bit more. I think I need a better spot to test this. To be completely honest. Yo, iGow's in the house. Did you guys watch any iGow this weekend? I certainly did. I hope that you did as well, because it was super cool to watch. It's just amazing to see so many different people do the same trick in all different locations around different objects. And then the peanut gallery is always amazing with Jesse, Dan, Heads, and whoever else stops by. It's super cool. So yeah, get subscribed to Skittles' channel, or just the iGow channel. It's probably the iGow channel that they're streaming on, so that you can catch some of the International Game of Whoop stuff. What I'm going to be doing for International Game of Whoop this year is hopefully helping you out on Whoop Wednesdays. Every single Whoop Wednesday, as long as someone reminds me in chat, because that's like, if nobody in chat is interested, then why should I do it, right? So it's kind of on you guys to ask me in chat. I'm going to be doing the weekly challenge just live and talking you guys through it and giving you some tips and tricks and other things to hopefully help you complete it a little bit easier, a little bit better. Hold on. So yeah. That's kind of my take on International Game of Whoop. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time to I can't just do like a quick edit. It's just my brain is just broken. So in order for me to participate in iGow, it would be like a thing that would take me 2-3 hours a week every week, and I just don't have I'm just slammed. So yeah, that'll be my contribution, which is plenty. Like, I actually prefer that. I think that's, in terms of, like, what my value is to the community, right? Like, I think that's worth more than me just competing in the competition, and my little edits get lost in the sea of hundreds of others. And then, like, what's the best case scenario? I win? Like, I don't want to win. I want you guys to win. I've already won. I get to do this full time, right? This is me winning right now. So yeah, I think this is kind of the best. It's the best. Let me go back up on chat here. EVFPV's in the house. How are you? Eva says also sometimes you need to intentionally crash for the shot. Yeah, very true. Yarb says, speaking of never crashing, I got to fly my friend's charity golf tournament. The 7-inch went great, but I did crash my DJI Mini 2. Does that count? Yikes. How'd you crash? I mean, you know what's funny is, like, the photography drones are actually pretty easy to crash, especially for us, right? Like, for non-FPV people, I guess they're still easy to crash, but like non-FPV people are usually so tentative that like they won't crash the photography drones because they're just afraid of everything. Whereas like with us, like at least me, when I get on a photography drone, I'm like, here we go, motherfucker! It's like full stick forward, like railing sideways, blind, because like you can get amazing shots with that gimbal, and it's just so cool, like the perspectives and the things that you can do with those rigs. So for me, I actually have to be really careful when I'm flying those because it's really easy for me to wreck them because, yeah, I'm trying to do all kinds of wacky stuff. Miguel T with a $10 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, flash my ESC to 96 kilohertz. Oof, that sucks. And timing to high. Feels slightly more power with more battery life on my 1202.5 toothpick. Placebo or best of both worlds? Definitely not placebo, but also not best of both worlds. 96 kilohertz is absolutely going to give you a little bit more power. Timing on high is a very, very, very small change, and it's typically not worth it because of the problems that it can cause. So usually leaving the timing alone is the best bet because like it's like a very, very like less than 1% gain from the testing that I've seen. But 96 kilohertz will definitely make more power, especially on smaller, higher RPM stuff. The problem is you lose most of your braking. So your PID loop performance and your prop wash handling and the ability to handle wind and like weird situations like that are going to take a really big hit. Basically, our motors can push or they can break down. And so if you think about putting the rig into its own prop wash, when you get into prop wash, the thrust that the motors can make is important, but the braking is arguably more important because if you're zero throttle and the rig is in prop wash, you want to be zero throttle. Like if you didn't want to be zero throttle, you would push the throttle stick up, right? So like basically when you ask for zero throttle and the PID loop is trying to deal with a situation and it's trying to deal with that situation by using mainly thrust, that's not what you're asking the rig to do. If it has more braking on 24 or 48, that's going to more closely mimic what you're asking it to do because it's going to have the ability to brake one of the sides. So, yeah, if you're doing like long range stuff without an HD camera, or if I can't think of it, or like I guess if you just want power and you don't care about what the flight footage looks like or what the flight characteristics are like, 96K is perfect for that. For everything else, if you want HD footage that's not chock full of jello or just getting kicked around, or if you just care about flight performance, 48 and even 24 are going to perform much better because they've got that ability to slow the motor down instead of just instead of just using more and more and more thrust. You think of this, right? Like you take the quad up and you want to flip it over to split S, right? On 96K, when you go to flip it over, it's not going to be able to have much power breaking these motors down. So it's going to have to give more power with these motors. So instead of being able to, like, in place, turn yourself inverted, it's going to go like this because it doesn't have the braking force on this side to make it flip on its own axis. And that can be a problem, right? Like if you have a gap lined up perfectly and you're flying right at it and you just want to do this right down into it, on the higher PWMs, there's more of a tendency to do one of these, and that's going to throw it off, and you're not going to go straight down the gap. If you get used to it, if you fly enough batteries on it, you can just, if this is the gap here, you can just fly over like this, and then you'll know that it's going to push itself up and over, and you can start lining it up like that. But, you know, that's kind of putting a Band-Aid on it. Usually the difference in thrust between 48 and 96 is not enough to offset the flight characteristics, the decrease in flight characteristics. But everybody's different. There are no right answers. And if you fly 96 a whole bunch and you like it better than 48, that's all that matters. Just understand what's going on so that down the road, if it's a windy day and the rig is all of a sudden all over the damn place, you know what's going on. You know that the problem is being caused by 96. And then what I would recommend on that day is to run inside, flash it to 48 or even 24 and put it back up, and you'll really get to see the difference. if it's never windy where you're at, you know, there's a million different reasons why, you know, what I prefer is not the end all be all. You know, I explain myself and I explain why I like what I like as detailed as possible without putting everybody to sleep, so that you guys can make your, and girls can make your own decision. So yeah. What do you think of that? All right, here are the results, yo. I actually took notes on my phone like an actual professional. So I flew 4 batteries, 4 almost brand new Tattoo R-Line 4S 850s. And I did 2 runs each on each one of the rigs. I did a run with 30-degree nose down, and then I did a run with 40-degree nose down. I put, there's an OSD element for pitch that you can put in your OSD. And what I do is I have that, and then I just go 30 degrees nose down, and then I just fly with the throttle, and I fly the same path over and over and over again. This time, I didn't just fly up and down the street. I wanted a longer path. And so I went out to this like long range-ish testing spot that I've got right across the street. And where the hell's all the footage? Where's DJI put the footage? Where the hell is it? Did it not record anything? I don't think it recorded anything. That's super annoying. Why did it not record anything? Okay. Well, so that's a fail. Oh yeah, look at that. 15.9 gigs available, and it's a 16 gig card. Okay. Okay. It's this weird little spot with a bunch of if you want a good long range testing spot, the only problem with doing this is that there is some interference from the power lines, but really nice like long range testing spot, especially because if you crash, you can always find it because you're flying along the power lines. If you find one of these areas that it's like clear cut for big, sometimes high tension, not always high tension power lines to run, it's usually like nice and straight for miles and miles and miles. So it tends to be like a great long range testing spot. If you go too far and you fall out of the sky, you just walk straight and eventually you'll find it. And so, yeah, that's the spot that I had. The only problem is the elevation, like, and I think that might have skewed this testing a little bit, but yeah, you need to maintain the same elevation. We use much more battery going up than coming down. So I'm really worried with these results that on one of the rigs I went up more and then came down than the other ones. So I need to go retest this, and when I retest, I'm going to fly up to the level of the power lines, and then I'm going to stay at the level of the power lines the entire time. And I'm gonna move up and down with the power lines so that on all the tests I'm going up and down the same amount. This, like, when I went out today, I wasn't thinking about that, and I was just covering the distance. And I think I might have done a little bit more of this on one of the rigs than the other, as you're about to see. So, QAV-Cine. The 30-degree run was on the battery with the red TPU balance lead, and it was 4 minutes and 25 seconds. So, it's now been enough time where the voltage on these batteries has bounced back, and this battery is at 3.7 per cell. So, 3.7 is where the battery bounced back to. Cool? 3.7 per cell. I'm adding that to my notes. The same 30-degree run on the AOS Cine25 was done with the purple TPU battery, and it was 5 minutes and 13 seconds, which is where my my worrying about that's a really big difference. But let's see let's see what this battery's at. 3.5. Oh my god. Okay, 3.53, 3.56, 3.6, 3.59. So we're going to call it 3.6. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so when I mark that time is when in the DJI goggles the voltage, the full pack voltage goes red. As soon as that goes red, I look at the time, I turn around and I fly home. Which is not an exact way of doing it, but it's a way of doing it. And if I do this test enough times, and so like the reason why it's okay to do that is because afterwards I'm checking the cell voltage to see how much is left, is left between these. So now the second test that I did, so 30 degrees nose down, these things are cruising at about, my guess would be 20 to 25 miles an hour. It's not quite fast enough to keep up with the cyclists, other than like in the middle of the race when they're trying to save some energy. The next test I did is 40 degrees nose down. And that's much more realistic for when they're on it and they're going 35, 40 miles an hour. The problem is 40 degrees nose down, like you are in the like you are hammering the throttle, and now the test results go the opposite direction. The QAV ran for 4 minutes and 2 seconds. The AOS ran for 3 minutes and 1 second. But let's take a look at the batteries. So black TPU was the QAV 4 minute and 2 second run. I was actually really happy with 4 minutes and 2 seconds. Because I was deep in the throttle. 3.7, 3.7, wow. 3.7, 3.7. Okay, so I'm really happy with that, to be honest. Let me just put a note here. And 3.7. All right. Now, the AOS Cine was the no TPU piece battery, which is this one. This should be up at like 3.8, I'll bet. I'll bet I didn't discharge this battery down the same amount. 3.7. 3.7. 3.7. 3.7. Okay. That is shocking. So I'm going to chalk that up to when I flew this battery at 40 degrees, I was bouncing in elevation much more. I realistically, I need to find a spot with a nice, I mean, it would probably be more accurate to just do this up and down my street here. But it's really annoying. What I'm worried about doing it up and down the street is that when I'm turning around so many times that that's going to kind of throw it off. I want a really long run. What I think I need to find is a flat run where I can fly at like 2 feet above the ground. Like, you know, when you just fly in a straight line, like above the ground, you tend to kind of get in, you develop like a comfortable height, and you'll just kind of sit it at that height. And I really think that I need to do that. This way I'm not bouncing up and down more on one than the other. I can just sit the damn thing at, yeah, a couple of feet off the ground and just run the entire battery. So, this is interesting. So, I mean, so looking at this, right? So looking at this, that's not going to focus. I don't know why I thought that would work. Let's do this. This will work. This is the jankiest shit ever, but it'll totally work. So the QAV is up top. Taking a look at this. When you look at the first run, 4 minutes and 25 seconds versus 5 minutes and 13 seconds, the battery voltage tells the tale. I ran the 5 minute and 13 second battery down to 3.6. I ran the 4 minute 25 second battery down to 3.7. I'm willing to bet this 425 here would have easily been 445, if not 455, if I drain the battery down the same amount. So that makes these things pretty close. And then the 40-degree test is insane. A full extra minute for the QAV, that's a lot, especially because both batteries are sitting at 3.7. So basically where I'm at with this is that potentially there's either that QAV 40-degree battery was like magic, or there's not as much of a difference, and this is what I think it is. I think there's not as much of a difference in efficiency between these two things. I guess the third option could be that for some reason with this thing really stood up going fast, it becomes weirdly more efficient than this thing standing up going fast. But I doubt that. Where I'm at right now, and I need to redo this test. I'm going to go out at least once more and redo this entire test somewhere where I can fly it more level. Is that, yeah, they're pretty close. If the next test shows that there's not a drastic difference in efficiency between these two, this thing's getting ripped apart for sure. When I fly this thing, it's like creepy because like I'm constantly worried about crashing it or landing it too hard and breaking another one of these and then having the nightmare of ripping this thing apart and fixing these plates. So I'm really tempted to pull this thing apart like right now, and just snag another one of these and yeah, it is what it is. But I don't know. Those 30-degree runs, there's a big difference between these two. So yeah, it shall live to fly another day. It doesn't look like any hardware backed out on either one of these, which is great. These Azure 2540 props, or Azure, whatever the hell it is, however you pronounce it, seem to be really good. They were the most efficient of the 2.5-inch propellers in some testing that Oscar Liang did a year or two ago. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Thoughts? Freelojo says, I just made my tiny lifter. I see why you did it that way now. What do you mean? Mine is solid in the wind even. What do you mean you see why I did it that way now? Just like the whole build? Or like, are you saying like it flies good? Or it's a mess? It's interesting. I think it flies pretty good. Danzilla Terrible says, what about running a track at a local high school for testing? That's a really good idea. I gotta admit though, trying to keep the pitch exactly at like 30 degrees is more difficult than you'd think. And if I then have to introduce roll into the equation to go around those corners all the time, I'm worried that it's going to introduce too many variables. You know what I mean? So yeah, I actually really like that idea, but what I wish I could find is just a straight, flat, and I think I know of a spot to do this now that I think about it, where I can just sit at 2 feet and just stare. Like in the goggles, it's a lot harder than you'd think because like I'm looking up. I have the pitch set in the top right, so I'm like looking up for the pitch as often as I can, because as the rig gets hit by the wind, it kind of changes and moves around and whatnot. And then I'm trying to focus on the throttle to make sure I don't drop too low or go too high and hit the power lines in today's case. To then introduce like turning would, yeah, I think it might be a bit too much and it would be a little bit too variable. So, but I really like that idea because it's, you know, Christ, you could even do that and just judge it by the number of laps, right? You wouldn't even have to screw around with runtime. You could just say, all right, I'm going to do 30 laps. and then take the voltage of the battery afterwards, and you could kind of do it that way. So that's interesting. EVFPV says, do you have ELRS receivers on these? If so, I could bind to one next time I'm over, and we could chase with them so that wind and everything's the same. That's a really good idea. This one, the QAV, actually does have an express ELRS on it, in addition to the Crossfire. You know what's actually interesting is, this one was wanting to fail safe. I did have Crossfire only on 250 milliwatts. I should have had it up on at least 500. But like when I flew behind myself and like down below grade, I got a couple little micro fail safes with this, which was kind of weird. So I need to keep an eye on that. What I really need to do is get link WTF, whatever, my goggles, and get link quality on there. Because right now I just have RSSI. But yeah, we could do that, Eva. That's a fucking great idea. It's the most boring thing ever, but yeah, it'd be great for testing. So yeah, I don't know. Like, on one hand, like, I guess I'm kind of trying to, admittedly, I think I'm trying to justify leaving this together, because I put a lot of work. I put probably 10 hours into this build, all said and done. So I won't, like, if it is significantly more efficient, I'm like, oh, cool. I'll leave it together, and it'll just be the more efficient rig that's super fragile. But ideally, I think I would like to see not much of a difference, so that I can justify building a second one of these, and then I've got the same rig, the same everything. I can cannibalize one for the other if I ever need to, right? Like, that's, I only have to have one extra set of top and bottom plates. Although what's kind of annoying is that this is now discontinued, and I don't think that the new QAV-Pro is identical. So, like, they won't be the same rig. They'll be very similar, but they won't be exactly the same. So I'll kind of run into the same problem. And then at some point, I guess I'll have to tear this one down and put it into a QAV-Pro. So the whole thing is kind of annoying, but it's fine. Bluejay says, the complete build, even though I'm running 1002 14,000s, the weight is nailed for the tinies. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, man, I went through a lot of iterations of that tiny lifter. Tried a lot of different motors, a lot of different setups. So that's nice of you to say, because yeah, I'm probably like, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm like 50, 60 hours into the tiny lifter formula. So I love that you're digging it. I also love that the 1002s work. I kind of assumed that they would. When I was doing a lot of the testing with it on 802s, it really felt like 802 was almost enough motor, but not quite enough. At the time, the only other option was 1102s. So when the 1002s came out, I was kind of like, well, that might be the right size. But I was already set up on all the 1102s, and to be honest, like, the fact that you can buy the Newbie Drone 1102 10,000s with the right plugs already on them for the Newbie Drone AIOs, that's pretty dope. Like, not having to solder on a specific, I mean, it's not that big a deal, but yeah, I would love to shed some weight on them though. I might try to find the lightest 1002 and maybe the Beta FPV tiny lifter. Maybe I swap that over. Well, no, that's the lighter one. That's the lighter, higher kV. See, the problem with that rig is they are 1102 18,000 kV motors, so I have to motor limit them down quite a bit. The problem with the other rig is that the newbie drone 1102s are heavy. They're heavy motors. They're significantly heavier than the Beta FPV motors. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not that much of a pain in the ass to solder different motor leads on. So yeah, if I can find a 1002 that's significantly lighter than the Beta FPV or the newbie drone 1102s, it would be nice to shed a little bit of weight on that build. But to be, I guess the flip side of that is that it's not a rig that gets flown hard. Like, it flies like a lifter, and so you don't really do any acrobatic stuff for the most part. And the runtime is kind of fine, but lightweight is better. Yeah, I'll probably dig into these 1002s to try to figure out what the lightest ones are. And save a little bit of weight on that thing, because man, it is like I really notice it when I'm chasing the RC drift cars with it. It's just a big bitch, and I mean, it's still gonna be a big bitch on 1002s, but if it can be like 5% less big ass donkey, that might be worth it. Although it is cool that it's almost a bind and fly at this point. Like, it's just a Cockroach 75 with a V3 AIO with the newbie drone motors that are like plug and play, and a BT 2.0 double. Like, that's pretty slick that it's not super custom. DJ Dub says, suggestion, take your old broken frame and make yourself some bumpers out of them to help with rigidity, similar to the Hurricane Cinewoop carbon bumpers. That's an interesting idea. The problem with that idea is that it's already too heavy. Like, this is already over sub 250. So I really can't make this any heavier. It's, yeah. But I mean, I could just, and to be honest, I don't think it's going to help. I talked to Chris Rosser actually about the problems with this frame. And he wanted to have me do another order and order these plates in 2mm and 2.5mm. And I was like, Chris, you know, I'm already like $130, $140 into this and the 3.5 inch frame. And I don't have the extra weight. Like, this is already significantly heavier than this. So, yeah, I can't really do anything to make this. Like, this is just this is a frame designed for a very specific reason, and that very specific reason is what Chris is really good at, which is eliminating vibrations from getting between the motors and the flight controller. The durability of this frame was not really taken into account. And so from an engineering standpoint, even with additional stuff bolted to it or thicker plates, this is just never going to be durable. Having these ducts, which are going to take all of the energy from crashes, only being supported all the way in here and then all the way out here, having this whole area is just never going to be strong. And you can tell by where it breaks. It breaks right here because it flexes, and then the standoffs, they're not going anywhere. So the standoff is here, and the carbon does that, and it just snaps the carbon. Like, this design, I don't think will ever be strong. Whereas this design is inherently very, very strong. Like, having this piece of carbon here to take all of that energy and send it into the entire plate, that's really strong, right? This is like a form of triangulation, I guess, here. Although, I guess it's a right angle. But, yeah, like, just this design is going to be very, very strong. And crash is going to happen. So, yeah, I don't know. But there you go. There's some efficiency testing from these two frames. I'm ideally, there's not much of a difference, and I can tear the AOS down, build two of the QAVs, and I think that's kind of what this testing showed so far. So if I go out and do this one more time, maybe tomorrow, And the test results are either all over the place like they were today, or they're kind of close, that'll be an easy decision, and it'll just be like, okay, good to go. EVFPV says, oh, did you see my post in the Discord about acetone for removing conformal? I did not. Dunked a flight controller for a week to see if it was safe for plastics. Should maybe show it on stream so more people see it. That's pretty cool. Where is it at? Where is it at on the Discord? Works amazing for removing conformal and cleaning off flux, no melted IC packages or JST connectors. So what did you do exactly? So here's how I'm reading it. You had a rig that you'd conformal coated, and then you used acetone to remove the conformal because I'm assuming that you needed to rework something. Dunked a flight controller for a week to see if it was safe. So I guess the question was, is the acetone safe on the flight controller? EVFPV dropping a link. I don't know how that's going to work. It's launching Discord in my browser. All right, so it looks like it's in General Nonsense today at 104. Let me go at it over here. General Nonsense today at 104. Let's take a look. 104, where are we at? Is that, do I have that right? In terms of the sequence of events there? 5 o'clock, here we go. Did a little science sprint, left a junk flight control. Oh, wow, okay. Left a junk flight controller in 100% acetone for 11 days after a conversation on the PTB server about using acetone to remove conformal coating, cleaning up flux. It'll eat, wow, okay. It'll eat through 3 layers of conformal in seconds, so definitely the best option for removing conformal, and is a bit better than ISO at cleaning up flux. Can't guarantee every board will be unaffected for user and risk, but it seems pretty safe other than potentially wiping some label. Oh, right. It'll remove the silk screening. That's fun. Okay. Okay. Barometer was a little bit funky for a bit. Makes sense. The acetone inside only has a tiny hole to evaporate out of, but it's giving stable readings now. Very cool. I would never have thought to test that. Silk screening looks a little bit faded. The silk screening will scrub right off. Yeah. Well, shit. I mean, I doubt anybody, that was a pretty extreme test, right? To leave it for 11 days. So hopefully, if just, if you want to remove some conformal, you put the acetone on a Q-tip and just wipe it on. It'll gobble up the conformal. Try not to get it on the silk screening, and away you go, right? Don't let it soak for 11 days. And hopefully that'll fix the, that'll prevent the silk screening from rubbing off. Silk screening rubbing off is actually a bigger problem than you might think, because of how quick the turnover is on products in this hobby. I have a number of ESCs that I have no idea who they're made by or what they are, and without the silk screening, it's really hard to find them on the internet to get a wiring diagram if you use those things a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later in my case. I'm lucky enough to have a live stream where I can like hold this shit up to the camera and say, hey, does anybody recognize this? Anybody know what this is? I've had to do that once already. But yeah, the silk screening coming off of your electronics is not great, because down the road, although with how shit the quality is of our electronics at this point, it matters less because everything seems to blow up after 6 months anyway. But yeah. Oh, EVFPV says the silk screening seemed fine actually, but the 100 label on the inductors on the bottom of the board were off with scrubbing. Well, cool. Well, that's fine then. Who cares what the... yeah, the silk screening is the main thing that we need. So that's amazing. Acetone. Okay. Acetone's nasty stuff. So yeah, acetone for removing conformal coating. I mean, apparently you can just burn through it, right? So like, if you want to be totally safe, I guess you just do that. But I'm sure it makes a mess. And like, if it's a rig that you either want to look good or if it's something that you want to last a long time, right? Like a cinematic rig. Yeah. So not super important unless you want to try replacing one of those, but you've got bigger problems if you need to do that. LOL, so true. All right, yo, let's dive into some 75mm whoop shenanigans. I put it back here, and so on yesterday's stream, we put 702s on a 75mm tiny whoop, which I know that sounds stupid, but it's for science, yo. And I was like really surprised at how decent it performed. I did not expect that. I thought it was going to kind of be a mess. I think I can kind of see when it runs out of grunt, but we're going to hopefully show that by swapping these motors over. So what I want to do first is fly a couple of batteries with the 702s on. These are Weebleed FPV 702 28,500 kV motors that I have motor limited down to be the equivalent of 26,000 kV. 26,000 kV is what these 603s are. 603 has slightly more stator volume than 702, but not quite as much stator volume as 802. What's interesting about 603s is that just raw stator volume does not tell the full story. Inside of the stator, a part of that volume measurement is bearings, a motor shaft, and none of that stuff does any actual work. Not to mention that the height of the stator does more work than the width of the stator, because the height of the stator is the magnets are oriented vertically around, and then the vertical part of the windings is what pulls those magnets. So you'll get more power. So if you've got two different motors that have the exact same stator volume, but one of them is taller and the other one is wider, the taller motor will always do more work and make more power. So these 603s probably make the same amount of power as an 802, even though they don't have the same stator volume. Does that make sense? You guys still with me? I hope you are. I don't know how else to explain that. So let's fly a couple of batteries with this guy. This is basically just a Mobula 7 ELRS with... oh, did I change the flight controller? Hold on. Let me put this into beta flight and make sure that the... I did a bunch of work after the stream last night. I had a super productive night last night, actually. Which is good, because I have not had many of them lately. Let me make sure that I've got the motor... Nope, yeah. So the motor output limiting is 91% on this guy. The PIDs are cranked, so it flies really good. I should maybe turn down the PIDs a little bit, but... I mean, you can just... Like, running a smaller motor and then cranking the PIDs up to the moon... There's kind of nothing wrong with doing that, and so that's the situation that we're in here. So let's leave it, and yeah, it'll be a little bit harder this way to tell the difference between these motors, but I think that we'll still, I think that we'll still be able to see the difference here. So let's get this going. But I will say that I'm impressed enough with these 702s to basically say that, like, if you want the lightest possible Mobula 7 ELRS, or just any 75mm motor-to-motor rig, 702s are a viable option. What we're really learning this year and end of last year with Tiny Whoops is that KV is much more important than stator volume. And I've had that feeling for a long time, and it's really nice to kind of see that play out. So we're going to fly 2 of these big fat boys, and then we're going to put the little foam thing in, and we're going to fly 1 of these folded cell batteries. And that's going to... I'm kind of curious. I've never done it back-to-back like that, but I'm kind of curious if these guys might perform better than these fellas. There is a weight difference. So this is a GNB battery. This is Quad 66 turned me on to this GNB 300 mAh cell that GNB sold not as Emax branded for a really short period of time. It claims 80C, 80 to 160C. They perform really well. These outperform the 350 mAh version. 8.7 grams for this guy versus this, which is also a 300, which is 8.6. I'll be damned. So, yeah, I've been curious. You know, the reason why I dove into these is because they're the right size for the tray on this. But one of you beautiful people sent me this old school foam piece here, which you can put into the tray, and then it'll allow you to run these batteries. And man, I would love to just only run these batteries. So unless these guys really do outperform, I'm just going to start running this little foam piece. Hey, if I would love to have another one of these little foam jibby jabbies. If you have some of these floating around and you don't want them, I would love to buy them off of you. These used to be like everywhere. These used to be like a super popular thing, but not anymore. So, hold on. Before I dive in here, I need to put a little bit of tape on these batteries to get them to sit. They're a little bit loose in the battery tray, and it's just super annoying. So let me just put a little bit of, and this is actually going to make them a little bit heavier. But yeah, let me just put a little bit of this Tessa tape on them. This is like that cloth tape that Nick Burns loves. One of you lovely people actually sent me this roll of it, which was very cool. And I'm kind of digging it. I haven't used it for much. I used it for I used it to hold in a I used it to hold on, rather, motor wires on the AOS 35 Freestyle build that I've got those wacky GEP-RC ducts on. And it seemed to work okay. It was kind of coming off a little bit, which I didn't love. It was kind of like peeling up. So yeah, I'm kind of keeping my eye on that. I don't know. I usually use electric tape, and it just works really, really well. But enough people have sung the praises of this stuff that I figure it's worth it to give it a shot. Nick Burns calls this Emax tape. Emax sells it on their website. Okay. And there we go. And one more piece here for this fella. And for the record, one of these batteries has been cycled a bunch. Maybe 2 of these batteries have been cycled a bunch. So this is not a super scientific test here. But, you know, some data is better than no data. I say that because this one seems a little tiny bit poofy. One of these is absolutely brand new. Okay, so let's get this going. I'm going to put one of the poofy ones in here first, and then I'll fly one of the non-poofy ones, and then we'll change, and then I'll fly the stick battery, and then we'll change the motors, and then I'll fly a poofy. No, then I'll fly another stick battery, and then the non-poofy, and then the poofy. Things you never thought you would say out loud. This now has a McStinky mount on it with, I'm not sure what camera, but it looks really nice. Might be one of the Caddx Ants or the Pico Nano something or other. All right, friends. Let's do a little flying here. What do you say? So this is a Mobula 7 ELRS with 26,000 kV 702s. Gemfan 1.6 inch biblades, and these Emax 300 mAh Fat Boy batteries. Whoa, shit! Yeah, I'm gonna have to take the walk on that one. I'm not even gonna bother turtle boating. I think I just flew under the little light there. That was kind of ridiculous. Yeah. All right, so feels like I mean, it feels heavy, but that's the way that the 75 mil rigs feel. It has more power. Welcome to flying 75 mil rigs indoors. It has more power than I expected. It really does. Yikes. Yikes. Oh, fart. Really? You're gonna hang up in the corner like that? Ah! Ah! Almost. Battery feels completely fine. Ooh. Oops. A little too low on that one. Ah, I tried to do that little sideways throw there. I can hear that the tune is like at the limit, which is to be expected. The tune is really cranked up. So let me try to push it into some prop wash here. Yeah, there was a little bit there. It was hard to see because I was dropping down below that chair. You can kind of see it there. I mean, you got to push it really hard to get it into prop wash, which is super impressive. Ah, got me. Gorgeous Weebleed FPV LED gate. Could be yours for the low price of $99.99. I think he makes these custom. It's like really well made. The LEDs are all like incorporated in the thing, and then you wire them together, and it's really well done. They have a million different modes that you can put them in. This is on demo mode right now. If you decide to get one, do your gangly buddy a favor and use his affiliate link. So there we go. 2 minutes and 6. Batteries coming back up to 353, 354, 355. So, all right. We're able to get to prop wash a little bit. That tape did a really good job holding that battery in there. So now I'm gonna fly a less poofy one. Yeah, two of them are ever so slightly poofy. Two of them are not. Okay, so we're gonna do this one, and let's see how this goes. Get in there, battery. Come on. There we go. All right, cool. And coming up. You Jellin's in the house. What's up, dude? CMYK has been getting garbage range, 50 feet, Crazy Bee, F4, FR Sky. Any suggestions for improving range? We'll be going ELRS soonish. Man, improving range on FR Sky is all about like better antenna placement or antennas that are the right length. It should definitely not getting. It should definitely be getting more range than that, as I'm sure you already know. Look at that, man! It makes some power. Come back downstairs, yeah. I don't want to disturb Maggie. Yeah, this is like wild. It's not quite enough, like, because like it's still a 75 mil rig, right? Like it's still too heavy. So like if it's gonna be heavy, it might as well be heavy with a bunch of extra power, right? Like. The reason that it kind of feels, one of the reasons that it kind of feels heavy is that a lot of the extra weight of a 75 versus a 65 is weight that's really far out, right? The ducts are much bigger and then the motors are farther out. So you lose a lot of the agility that you get with the 65s. Ah! But you can still do some stuff, yo. This is still fun to fly. Not as fun, but still. Oh boy. Did I throw a propeller? Yep. Nope, 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 nope. Sounds like the motor's blocked, actually. Let's see. Oh, you know what? It's probably the connect. Yeah, the connector popped up into the duct. That's fine. That's just a little weird thing that happens sometimes. The little pigtail here just can sometimes find its way up and block the propeller. Doesn't happen often, but every once in a while. What would this be for? This would be, I guess this would be like the ultimate long-range tiny whoop. Smallest motors possible, so nice and lightweight. Oh boy. This might be an interesting rig to chase the little RC drift cars with. The problem is going to be there's a ton of duct in view. So now it becomes a conversation of like, maybe you just don't care if there's duct in view, but you should because it looks silly. So then, like, you know, the solution, in air quotes, is to put it in a fractal frame. But the fractal frame is going to be significantly heavier. And it's going to have less efficiency because there's more things blocking the thrust. But, like, I guess if you wanted the absolute lightest weight, cinematic, whatever, longer runtime setup, you could do that. I don't know. This, what I bet you would... So I'm running really lightweight batteries right now, right? If you were to load this thing down with, like, a Storm Rider, I have tried the fractal frames quite a bit. I know all about them. If you were to... well, shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. If you were to put a bigger battery on this to try to get longer runtime, you would start to see these motors would run out of power, basically. The reason why this thing works right now is that these batteries are really lightweight. I'm really interested to try this. I'm going to put this onto a folded cell Weebleed FPV 300 mAh stick battery, and I'm dying to know if it feels the same, worse, or better. Let's check it out. These little foam things are annoying, but like once you get them in place, they're completely fine. Flat spot towards me. And here we go. I have a funny feeling that this might be better. Because these folded cell batteries are kind of insane. Alright, let's see. See if I tell the difference. It's the same weight. Yeah, I think this has more power. Ah! Ah, that was stupid. Oh, that was stupider. What's happening? So, one of the things that I'm going through right now is I flew a whole bunch of 5-inch batteries and 3-inch batteries at 30-degree up tilt at Rampage and after Rampage. Woo! And now I'm having to adjust again. And what's funny is when I was flying all those batteries, I was having a really hard time adjusting to 30-degree up tilt. I'd really gotten used to like the low up tilt of Tiny Whoops. And now I'm having to readjust to Tiny Whoop low up tilt. Yeah, this is either the same or slightly better than those Emax batteries. And see, that's where it really got me. I was like, why do I keep increasing in elevation? So yeah, I'm gonna stop running those Emax batteries, and I'm just gonna leave this little foam guy in here, and use the same batteries, which will be great. Oh boy, easy, easy, easy. Ah, God, I'm having a really hard time adjusting. Oh, that was a big one. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Knock the sticks down and everything. Jesus. Ooh, that little tiny stall. Ah. I feel like this battery's running longer too. I mean, that's a hard thing to dial in because I'm crashing a different amount, and God knows how much full throttle I'm actually using. Now I'm starting to get adjusted to this. Just in time for the battery to be dead. Fairly certain that this battery is running longer than those big boys. Oh, right into the bottom, just face first. Oh boy. Ah, I knew that was going to be a kind of on a wing and a prayer. Oh, stop it. Oh, God, why me? Yeah, this battery's running way longer. Okay. The most annoying thing about those Emax batteries is they come with GNB27 that you have to cut off and then solder on BT 2.0, which is just silly. Yeah, I'm just gonna start doing this. This is what it looks like with the stick battery inside of that little foamy thing. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that ran longer, so that's pretty cool. All right, here we go. So that was on 702s. Now we're gonna throw some 603 26,000 kV motors, same exact kV. Do me a favor, try to remind me to change the motor limiting. I gotta crank the motor limiting back up to 100%. CMYK says, don't the GNB fit into the BT 2.0? Nah, old school GNB 27. The new GNB is called something different. I forget what it's called now. Which battery did I run down? Is it this one or was it this one? Hold on. Hold on, please! I think it's this one. It's kind of warm still. Yeah, 3.55. All right, cool. Yeah, I would love to not have to do this anymore to these little batteries. Yeah, here's a little foam thing again. Just sits in there like that. I remember like having a bunch of those foam things and like throwing them away. And I really wish that I hadn't, because I don't think you can buy them anymore anywhere. Okay, so there's really not a whole hell of a lot for you guys to watch, so I'm just going to sit here and do this. I'm just going to be removing screws, unplugging plugs, and then putting screws back in. So, yeah, ask me some questions. Yo, Ugellin is having a strange issue with his Mobula 7 ELRS. He has to power cycle it 3 or 4 times before the OSD shows the average cell voltage instead of blinking 0.00 with every battery's. Any idea what this could be a symptom of? Sounds like the, I think it's the shunt resistor that monitors the voltage. Sounds like that's on its way out. Or I guess maybe technically it could be the 5-volt regulator that's on its way out. Unfortunately with this Tiny Whoop stuff, like, it either works or it doesn't. There's not a whole lot of, like, repair that can be done or, like, troubleshooting that can be done. Who is this that just texted me from an unknown number? Maybe it's something interesting. Nope, it's just hello. I'm going to reply back with hi. There it is. Hi. So yeah, it's that's super annoying. It's just one of those things though with these Tiny Whoops. It's kind of like, if it doesn't work, you got to just replace the whole AIO, right? Like, that's one of the big things that I hate about AIOs, is that you got to replace the entire thing. So yeah, I hate that for you, man, but AIO life. All right, so I'm going to throw these motors on as I remove the other ones. And the only thing I don't like about this Mobula 7 frame is that, like, it puts the it like spits the motor wires out in a very weird direction. It puts them out like sideways. Kind of annoying, but not the end of the world. Okay, so there we go. So we're bolting on some 603. These are available on Tiny Whoop's website. I wouldn't necessarily advise that you get them though, because they're for a 75mm rig at least, because they're a 1mm motor shaft, which is not going to live long on a heavy 75mm rig, especially on a fractal rig that's got the motors buried into carbon. So yeah, hopefully there will be and then for a 65mm rig, 26,000 kV is not really enough, unless it's on a 702 for the extra lightness. So yeah, yeah. When there's if there's a higher kV version of these 603s that becomes publicly available, I really like them. Jesse sent me some prototype 30,000s, and they're really interesting. We've flown them a bunch over the last month or so. But these 26,000s, I don't know. It's a little too low of a kV for what it is. And yeah, it's as you're going to see, it totally works on this 75mm rig, but that 1mm shaft is a little bit of a deal breaker. you'd be better off getting the snowblower or the iGao 802s with the 1.5mm shaft. The iGao motors are going to give you a little bit more kV than these at 27,000. Snowblowers are going to give you a little bit less. But that 1.5mm shaft is everything. I didn't get a response back after my hi with an exclamation point. Maybe I was too eager. Maybe it was the exclamation point. EVFPV says cloth tape is my new favorite for wrapping motor wires. Looks so clean. It does look really clean. I do wonder if it is more durable against prop strikes. Yarb says Moblite 7 style camera up front style, perhaps. No, because then you have to run the Diamond AIO, which is a complete disaster. So yeah, that wouldn't specifically work for like a cinematic kind of setup. Unfortunately. All right, let's keep going here. CMYK says, oh no, we got that. CMYK says QX7 FR Sky settings to try out D8 versus D16. Oh yeah, try D8. Apparently D8 has, I forgot about that. D8 has more range than D16, I think because it's sending less channels of data, so the packets will be smaller, I guess, if ELRS has taught us anything. That sounds to be correct. Yeah, definitely try D8. Denzel the Terrible says, they're trying to reach you to discuss your extended warranty. Oh, hey, speaking of people trying to reach me, someone from Bluejay reached out to me asking me to help them troubleshoot the problems with the new stuff. They were being kind of pushy with me, and like I really don't have the time at the moment. So they asked me to reach out to all of you and ask you to get in touch with Bluejay to help them do their job. No, it's an open source project, right? So we're all in this together. But I just don't have the time at the moment. Maybe in a couple of weeks, but I don't have the time to work with them to debug this at the moment. If you're interested in doing it, if you have a rig that's falling out of the sky on Bluejay 0.17, 8, and 9, yeah, feel free to reach out to them. If you don't know how to get in touch, they have a Discord channel. If you're having trouble getting in touch with them, though, just reach out to me and I'll figure out how to connect you guys. But yeah, they asked me to ask you to help them figure this out. I explained to them that the problem is like super widespread. Like out of 5 ESCs, it affects 4 of them that I've got. So I was like, look, just you've already got ESCs that should be showing this problem. I pointed them at the live stream where I broke it down and showed it like in pretty fine detail. I don't know. They didn't seem interested in looking at any of that, and I was like, oh, okay, well, but yeah, if you want to help the community out, reach out to them, and they want your help. So yeah. Denzel, no, we got that. MoFPV says, a little late for this comment, but anything better than the Fractal 75 for Freestyle? Lots of stuff. I mean, in my opinion, the Fractal 75 is, this is going to sound terrible, but just hang with me for a second. One of the worst options for Freestyle. It's the heaviest. It's going to have the most obstructions to thrust, and it doesn't hold the camera at the same angle all the time, in my experience. So yeah, there's a lot better options. Although it does depend on like what freestyle you're talking about. If you're talking about like outside freestyle, in my opinion, that's more of a a toothpick kind of situation. I still don't really see the point of flying tiny whoops outside completely. Like I get having one rig that can do a bunch of different things, but tiny whoops are kind of so cheap, and there's such a drastic difference in performance. that I think you're way better off putting the $150 into a proper 65mm rig, and then you've got something that'll absolutely rail inside the house. Let's see if it's about an extended warranty. Oh, 2 text messages. She's Jennifer. Am I Mike? What do you guys think? Am I Mike? Oh, there's a picture of a Russian. Russian. Any of you guys need a Russian mail order bride? I've got one on the line right now. Unbelievable. So yeah, the best freestyle tiny whoop, in my opinion, and now many more people's opinions that saw me flying it at Rampage, is what I call the ultimate freestyle tiny whoop. The entire build guide is over on Joshua Bardwell's website, fpvknowitall.com, and then you just go into the tiny whoop section. But it's very simple. It's a Mobula 6 ELRS that you're going to swap the frame over to a Meteor 65 frame, the regular one, not the Pro frame. You don't want the Pro frame. And then switch the battery connection over to BT 2.0 and get you some WeBleedFPV 300 mAh folded cell batteries. You can put a TrueRC antenna on it, singularity antenna. They work brilliant. You're going to swap the motors over to a high KV 702. When I say high KV, what I mean is like 26,000 and above. Things really get interesting when you get up to like 28 and 29,000. I prefer the 32,000 KVs at the moment to kind of get you in the ballpark. And then Gemfan biblades, and that's it. It's a very simple build, and it is more capable than any other tiny whoop by a huge amount. It's really like, there was not a single person, Joshua Bardwell was the only person that wasn't just like, holy shit, dude, how is that possible? How is anything that you're doing possible right now? It really like cemented the fact that, yeah, this really does fly better than like absolutely anything, and yeah, that was pretty cool to have so many people being so completely blown away by the flight performance. All right, so we swapped the motors. I need to get this into beta flight and get them spinning the right direction real quick. So let's push this little foamy out of the way, and I'm gonna use a battery that's already kind of discharged for this, so as not to skew the results of the testing that we're doing here. And all right, here we go. Motors and motor direction, wizard, start and spin. All right, so motor, oh, that's not motor 1. Motor 1 is right. Motor 2 is right. Motor 3 is right. Motor 4 is right. Wow. Amazing. This would have been completely fine. 12 motor poles, 10% idle, D-shot 300. Okay, so now I need to come in here and remove the motor limit. 100%. Now these motors are 26,000 kV out of the box. So, good. We've got the same amount of kV, RPM. Let's fly the stick battery first, because that's the last battery that we flew on the other motors. And I still have the little foam jibby-jabby in here. So here we go. Veritas Weezer says, hey bud, did you tell those Bluejay boneheads they blew up my drone fireball and a fireball midair at full throttle? I did not tell them that. Are we 100% sure that was a Bluejay issue? It's hard to really, that's an awful, I don't know. It's hard to really nail that stuff down. Here we go. 603, 26,000 kV motors. Let's see how they are in comparison to 702, 26,000s. Hopefully you guys can see the difference. Screens. Every once in a while, the screens in these old ass Fat Shark HD3s just don't turn on. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So you should be. Yeah, you can see that. Yeah. So way more power. Ah! I should have waited. That was stupid. I should have waited before and after. Much, much, much better response time. So, like, I'm going to try to get this to prop wash, and I'm probably not going to be able to. This is just me trying to get it to prop wash. Yeah, it just won't. Did you see that? Did you see that thing stop? Jesus Christ. There's just none. Oh my God. Yeah, so you guys can see the difference, right? Like that's chat. Can you tell? Can you tell the difference? That's my God, can I ever feel it? Sometimes I wonder if you guys can see it, right? Like I can feel all this stuff on the sticks. I can feel the response time. Oh my God. Even like stuff like this, like notice how often I'm slamming into the ceiling, because that I'm doing, you know, I'm still adjusted to the rig the way that it was on the 702s, and now I'm using the same timing and I'm using the same amount of throttle, but now it's rocketing into the ceiling, because Jesus Christ, because it's got way more power. Where am I? What is happening? Am I next to the couch? Am I behind the couch? Where am I? Never give up. Never give up. This feels much better. I mean, it doesn't really feel any heavier either. I'm sure that it is. Not much heavier though. The 603s are really not that much heavier than the 702s. God, look at that. Like, look at the pop. It almost makes it feel like a 65mm rig in terms of like the response time and the poppiness, but the weight is still there. Like it's still slidey, which you guys know that I don't love. Oh, that was a stupid crash. Yeah, this is really good. If this motor had a 1.5 inch, 1.5mm, yeah, 1.5mm motor shaft, this would be a really good 75mm whoop motor. Ah. Oh God, that battery's getting down. A little bit less runtime too, I think. Yeah, definitely less runtime. Although I was like fucking caning this thing. And the battery is bouncing up a little bit more than it was, but yeah, definitely less runtime. So, the 702s, of course, right? A smaller, lighter motor is always going to give you more runtime. That's not me like telling you anything that you didn't already know. Yeah, 702s are going to give you more runtime, but drastic decrease in performance compared to these 603 26,000s. Wow, that's something else. That I was worried that it wasn't going to be that big of a difference, but Jesus, that's absolutely night and day. Sunset Park, these are 603 26,000 kV motors. Let's run them on these little Fat Boy batteries. I'm going to run it on the absolutely brand new one first, and this is probably going to be the last time that I use these little Fat Boy batteries, because I think I'm about to confirm that the stick battery with the little piece of foam is better. But let's figure that out together, shall we? Yep. Yeah. Yeah, these batteries are good. But those folded cells are better. I can tell... Uh-oh. I can tell from the, from, like, basically the response time. That folded cell battery was so poppy. So poppy and so locky. You know what I'm saying? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, man. This is, yeah. These heavier 75mm rigs are tough to fly. Very tough to fly. Inside at least. They're fine outside, and with... For jungle gym bashing, they're great. They're definitely better than a 65mm rig for jungle gym bashing, but for in the house here, there's just no comparison. Oh, come on now. Give it to me. Whoa! That was a close one. I've never gotten a 75mm rig stuck on my hair before. That'd be a accomplishment. I wonder if it hurts more. Let me try to do the mega power loop. Oh, not even close. Try it again. Oh, that was pretty close on that one, though. Come on, give me the mega. Give me the mega. One more. One more try. Ah, not quite there. Bring this home, throw one more battery on it, and then... Oh, what time is it? Wow, it's 10:52 already? Okay. So, yeah, all right. So I'm not going to run these... I'm not going to run these Emax 300s anymore. It just doesn't make sense. Who's that?
It's me.
What you doing?
I think I'm missing a bag in my car.
Oh. Oh, are you? Alright. And last battery here tonight. Another one of these little fatty 300 mAh Emax, GNB white labeled Emax batteries. They also, they don't fit in the battery tray as good. They kind of wobble around, like I had to put that tape on it, but it still kind of wobbles around in there. You know? The stick batteries with the little foam jibby jabby fit really, really, really nice. All right. If you want these little batteries, I have 4 of them with BT 2.0 leads on them. Sell them to you cheap. Hey. Hey. Up, up, hey, up, yep. Yep. Oh God, what's happening? These motors are phenomenal. These six. Every time I run these 603s, I'm impressed. On the 65mm rigs, I'm not totally sold on them quite yet because the 702s are just a magical weight. Little couch bump there. Nope. That was ugly. I heard the door in her... I heard her car door close. Let's just wait for her. I had to. I had to. I thought you were going to hear it and not even open the door.
Well, I'm giving something back to you.
Oh, are you?
It's secret. I'm going to put it over here on the edge of the table, okay?
Let's get her. Oh, shit.
Serves you right.
It does.
Not saving you. Stop it!
Oh, thank you. Did you mean to do that, or did you mean to kick me? Ah!
I meant to kick you.
Okay, I had a feeling. Oh, man. This serves me right here. It's stuck. I think it's stuck. Hold on. Oh, I got it unstuck. Oh, I got away with one. Oh, shit. Come on now. Hey, there we go. So with these big heavy rigs, I resort to like you'll see me do this a lot. Like you'll see me come over here. Oh, for fart's sake. You'll see me come over here and then do this and then do this and then do this, because like that's the longest most open route down here. And yeah, so the heavier rigs, since they're so much more slidey, I just fucking charge this goggle battery. I have to run like the more open lines down here. You won't see me do that nearly as often with the lighter weight rigs that are a lot better suited for the smaller kind of spaces. So yeah, hey, I've got 4 of these little Emax 300s that I have soldered BT 2.0 leads to, and then I've actually got 2 more that still have the GNB 27 leads on them. So if any of you want these, let me know and I'll sell them to you. I'm gonna go back to the stick batteries. It's just so much simpler. These run fine though, as you could just see. Like they run absolutely fine. 3 of these are absolutely brand new. 3 of them have been cycled 15, maybe 20 times. So yeah, let me know if you're interested. Shirt says Wookiee of the Year. Got this shirt in Charleston many moons ago. Yeah, I mean I'm certain that you guys could see the difference in the motors. 702s are really, really, really good on 65 millimeter tiny whoops. They are, here's what I'll say. These Gem Fan bi-blades on a very lightweight 75 millimeter rig is the absolute limit of a 702. Absolutely, like, at the limit. Even with a really cranked up PID tune, I could get it to prop wash just a little bit though. So I'm to be honest, I'm way more impressed than I thought I would be with the 702s on this setup. I really don't think that I would recommend it though, unless you absolutely need that half a gram or whatever it is that they are lighter than a 603 or an 802. So yeah, if lightweight is everything, you can get away with it, and it's actually not that bad. But the performance increase of going to a 603 or a 802 is massive on a 75 millimeter rig. And realistically, you're going to be flying these 75 millimeter rigs outside. And so you're going to want that extra power. So I don't, other than like hardcore long range, I really don't know why you would do a 702 on a rig like this. But pretty surprised that it handled as good as it did. All that being said, I still think that the right motor, these flew great, but if I kept flying this and crashing this, these motor shafts would bend and break because they're only 1 mil. A 75 millimeter rig like this, in my opinion, you really want to get it onto a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft motor. So that means the snowblower or the iGao 802s from Tiny Whoop or a 1002. I would not go to an 1102. 1002s feel really beefy on rigs like this. Unless you're trying to pick up an HD camera or something like that, I don't think you really are ever going to need to go to an 1102. And even if you are picking up an HD camera, I still don't think you need to go to maybe not need to go to an 1102. I haven't personally tested that, but a couple people now have tiny lifters on 1002s and they're having really good luck with them. So, and I might check that out in the future. We'll see. Yeah. Again, if anybody has one of these little foam stick battery to wide boy battery adapters floating around in their old stuff, and you don't want it, I would love to buy it off of you. or Traja or something like that. So yeah, this is, for the moment, this is going to stay on these 603 26,000s. I'm not going to go hammer this around. Well, I don't know. I would be putting this back onto the 802 iGao motors, but I'm hanging on to them for the walk snail builds that are coming this Wednesday, this Friday, into next week. So yeah, this is going to get left on these 603s for the time being. And I probably won't fly it much, to be honest. I don't really fly these 75 mil rigs all that much. But yeah, it's going to stay like this. And I'm going to throw it up here on the shelf in case I need it. Whoops. What else? What else? I guess we're kind of at the end. It's 11:01. Ask me any questions you guys got. I need to get helicopter. Robert Rosser says. Let me dive into the chat. We'll get caught up, and I guess we'll shut this mother down for the night. Hang out again on Wednesday. Where was I in chat? There we go. Freelojo says, I had to put my BLV4 on BL-Heli S from Bluejay 1.6 because it was having issues when the battery would dip today. When you say dip, do you mean the voltage would drop? That's weird. Don't they ship the BL-V4s on Bluejay? I don't think I've had that problem. I've had other problems with it. Oh, here it is. I've actually torn my BL-V4 all apart here. I'm swapping the canopy, and I took the motors off of it for another rig. I've got some fun stuff cooking. I'm gonna do a little ductless comparison. Babito versus Mosquito. If you miss it, I'll spoil the surprise for you. Oh, it's fat. It doesn't fly very good. It's outside. I don't like it. All right, they both fly bad. Maybe this one flies a little bit better than that one, but they both fly bad. There you go. There's the review. Let me see though. Hold on. I thought they shipped this on Bluejay, but none of the problems that I've had with the BL-V4s have been like related to the issues that I've seen with Bluejay 1.7, 1.8, and 1.9. But now I'm curious as to what I do know is that for some reason RPM filtering won't work. So if you had RPM filtering on, then that is more than likely the problem, and you can probably go back to Bluejay if you turn that off. It's on 0.19, so that's interesting. Yeah, I haven't had any issues with it on 0.19, but other than when I tried to run 2S through it, and it was kind of a mess. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about that. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I guess this just needs to be soldered. I guess I can just put this here and solder it up. I'm still in need of 5-inch propeller bags. If you have a hoarding problem and you have a ton of these 5-inch propeller bags taking up space, I would love some. I've used all of mine, unbelievably. Veritas Weasel says, if the Air Force finds out about the way you fly, they're going to let you fly their armed drones. I don't know if I would do that. It's a slippery slope. You know what I mean? Like, on one hand, it's like you could probably make some good money. But how much money is it worth it to kill people? Right? Like, I don't know. I would love to think that I would say no to something like that. But money talks. Sunset Park says, are the 603 available yet, or are they beta? The 603 26,000s that you were just seeing have actually been out for years. The 603 30,000s are just a one-off prototype. They might never even get made. I told Jesse that I love him, and I hope that really hope that he makes them. But, you know, you can't just buy a couple of sets of motors. You got to get a whole bunch. So, Denzel the Trouble says, Maggie's a saint for putting up with your gangly antics. You have no idea, man. You have no idea how much of a saint she is. Got that from Veritas. Freelojo says, I've posted my 75 basher in Livestream Live. Let's take a quick look. So Livestream Live is one of the Patreon-only Discord channels that you can get access to for $3 a month. That's only 10 cents a day. Head on over to CiottiFPV.com and join the Patreon, and then you'll get full access to all of these text channels on my Discord. Livestream Live, Patron Hangout, Toothpick and Whoop, Micro Brushless, Cinewhoop 5-inch, Schlong Range, DJI Master Race, Video Collective, CiottiFPV Reacts, all FPV retailers. This is kind of a cool one. Everybody just puts in their favorite retailers. So if you're looking for something specific, there's a massive list of FPV shops here. Stick and Dick Ends. This is a box of all of the stick ends that exist that you can rent out from me so that you can actually try them to figure out which ones you like before you waste $30 on a set that you don't like, because the picture on the website doesn't tell you whether or not your thumbs are going to like it. Swap and shop. You can sell stuff, trade stuff, and then whatever, mod chat. Freelojo's got a little Meteor 75 action going here. All nice and dirty. Looks like it's on 802s. Nice little build. Goober canopy. Is this the... I think this is the regular Meteor 75 frame. Everybody's is in love with the Meteor 75 Pro frame. I don't understand it. It's heavier, and we don't need the extra power. But, you know, what do I know? Nubijo and Flow 802 27,000s. That probably rips. That's a great KV for a 75. Beta FPV 450, Gemfin Biblade 1610. Yeah, that was a solid little build. Solid little build. The only thing I would change is the frame. I've found the Meteor, the Mobula 7 V4 frame to be a little bit tougher than this Meteor 75 frame. I didn't have any luck with the Meteor 75 frame. It broke pretty quick. Could have just been a one-off, but yeah, I don't know. Ethan W says, I challenge you to only fly 75mm tiny whoops for a week, lol. So I did that for a lot longer than a week. There was a while where I really was very dedicated to figuring out what the magic was with 75. And I only flew 75s for damn near a month. And then when I went back to 65s, I was like, wow, okay, like this is what this is just better. The 75 thing, like, if you fly more like a racer and you don't care about keeping your horizon line level, the 75s can work because they do have more power. But what they lack is response time, and they're always going to be heavier. And that just makes, and especially when you try to keep your horizon line level, it's really a drastic difference. So yeah, like there are certain flying styles that 75mm rigs are okay, but in my experience, and most people that have flown high KV, really lightweight 65mm rigs, yeah, there's just no competition. All that being said, if for some reason 75s connect better with your brain, I love that for you. Like, that's great. But yeah, for me, it's really a night and day difference. I want something that's going to be much quicker and much lighter in a really cramped, tight environment that is flying inside of your house. you know, I'm a little bit different. I try to do like big ballsy tricks, right? I don't just limp these things around the room. So yeah, if you're not trying to do like big gnarly power loops, power loops and matty flips and big stalls and big off throttle throws and all the other shit that you see me doing, yeah, maybe the ultimate freestyle tiny whoop build is not that important to you. But if you've never flown a 30,000 kV lightweight sub 19 gram dry 65 millimeter rig, and you're saying that 75 millimeter rigs are better, that's not really cool. Like, that's, you know, that's driving around that's only owning Fords and saying that Chevys are garbage, which is what I did for many years. That's not the greatest analogy, but yeah, it's kind of hypocritical to do that, right? So careful with that, because yeah, there's a drastic difference between them. There really is. MoFPV says, did you do this week's iGal? Nope. We are doing it on Whoop Wednesdays, so join me at 6 o'clock this Wednesday and we will do iGal stuff. Tommy Newton says, what's up, Gangly Gang? Brandon's Baked Beans says, you can craft one of those foam skinny boy to fat boy adapters, take black closed cell foam from FPV packaging, cut strips. It's a great idea. Then glue them to a piece of cardstock the size of the fat. Bob Bruce says, looking forward to these walk snail builds. Me too. Me too. Marcel Off Axis says 5-star review. Freelojo dropping the Patreon link. Thank you, dude. And last comment of the live stream is from Veritas Weasley. He says, did you just say great big power boobs? That woke me up. I don't think I did, but maybe I did. You never know. You know, you say what you want to grab, I guess. Thanks for hanging, friends. My name is Aaron Ciotti. Head on over to CiottiFPV.com if you like this stuff and want to see it continue. I'm completely supported by you beautiful people. Hey, I'm also doing some RunCam session testing. Nobody's going to care about it. Nobody has RunCam sessions. It's just me. Be good. Here comes a little bit more flying from Rampage with some epidemic sound for that ass. Be good, friends. I'll see you on Whoop Wednesday. We'll do some iGAF stuff and some other things, and we'll pee our pants. It'll be great. Diluted? Hopefully this is good. Later, friends. Come on. Come on, computer. You can do it. You can do it. Just, come on now. Let's be cool. Everybody be cool together. Why is it not? There it goes. Oh, it's me crashing into a tree. Awesome. Nothing new there. Later, friends.